Oh, here we go. Okay, so I guess the first order is to approve the minutes from February 18th, 2026. Has anyone had a chance to review them? Have any changes?
So I had a question on the minutes, approval of minutes, 10:15, public minutes. It says, noted that member Christopher Kern's name was missing. I think it's Christopher Carabin. Like, I don't know who Christopher Kearns is.
It should be Carabin.
Yeah, so
As a
shouldn't
member,
it say
yeah.
noted that member Christopher Carabin's name was missing as opposed to Christopher Kern's name was missing? Because I have no idea who that is.
I would say
On the
that's probably
first
an error.
page?
Yeah, I think it's just a typo.
Okay.
That's a good catch.
Well,
Where are you on that?
The first page, the, second paragraph, approval of minutes, 10:15.
Yes, okay.
Christopher Kearns,
yeah,
it should be
third line.
Carabin.
Yes, it should be Carabin.
Yeah, okay.
So Derek, do we need to just make note of that? How do we get that updated?
So you would take a motion to, if there are any other changes that the committee wants to make, you can discuss those now, and then somebody would make a motion to approve with changes.
Okay. Any other? No?
Sorry.
Does anyone want to make a motion to approve?
I will make a motion to approve.
I'm an alternate, so I'm not sure if I'm voting today.
I approve.
So we have, hold on a second, we have,
Just waiting.
you have 2 alternate members here.
Yep.
And you have 2 regular members that are not present, so you would name the alternates as voting members this evening.
Do I have to actually officially say that, or?
It's helpful because there may become a point where you have 2 alternates and only 1 voting rep, so it's good to get into the habit that so Paul and Josh are both alternates.
Okay, so I guess,
It's our time to shine.
yeah. I guess we'll go ahead and recognize that the 2 alternates are voting members this evening. Yes, Derek? Derek, come on,
Yep.
work with me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to take notes.
This is the first meeting I've ever chaired, and I just joined the committee and was like, wow, I'm chair,
Can we go
fantastic, and I
around
know less than just about everybody.
Well, we go around and say
Well,
vote
I
everybody
actually-
and.
Yeah, if you do
an
introductions.
I
and
actually have
stuff.
a question about that. Sure. And it's a protocol thing, and it's a very minor thing. But in other committees, the selectmen's, representative, they just kind of sit in on the meeting. They don't automatically become the chair of the meeting. So I didn't know why this committee is different. And not that I care.
That's how the charter was set up by the select board.
Oh, okay, thank you. That answers the question. The answer, man.
Don't blame me, I was not a selectman at the
Okay,
time.
We're happy you're
Yeah, we're
chair.
very happy.
We're very happy you're chair.
That's something that I have
Okay.
wondered about, so thank you.
Do
Okay,
you
now-
want to do like an introduction?
We can?
We
Yeah.
can, just so.
Sure. Do you want me to just
No,
introduce, you're gonna go around the
Dick
table
can
so I can
start.
meet everyone, fantastic.
You know,
Derek
I-
Horn, Town Administrator.
I'm Dick Bruno.
Hi.
I went to the Parks and Rec for the
So
meeting. by the
Dick
way.
is our
Oh, I
representative.
should say what I
Yeah.
am, yes. Representative from Economic Development.
Okay, great.
Dear Stolnitz, happy that you are here. Welcome. As you know, I live in the old grist mill on Hadley Falls Dam, but I am excited to help Goffstown. Whether I lived there or not, I would still be wanting to help Goffstown.
Love it.
Allison, very happy to have you here. Welcome. I am Andrew Cataract. I am the rep from the Piscataquag River Local Advisory Committee, which has a mission to look at the whole river, which is a designated river, and I am the rep for Goffstown. Each community within the watershed has the ability to have, I think, up to 2 reps, if not more.
Great.
And so,
Okay, I didn't know that part. You didn't tell me that part. So I'm Allison DeCesare. I am a new select board member, and I've been assigned to join, and we had a little preliminary meeting, and I thought I was very excited to be joining this committee of all the ones that I could have chosen. So that's it. I've only been a select board member now for, a month and a half approximately. But I was on the budget committee for 3 years before, so this is not completely new to me. I've just never been chair before. So I'm going to keep looking at Derek being like, am I doing this right? Am I doing this right?
I'll help you
Had a
out.
preliminary meeting
Oh,
to find out.
I joined them in the GTV meeting to look at possibly doing the, which we're going to touch upon.
We will talk
But
about
they
it.
asked me if I would like to join,
Okay,
as I had
okay.
just kind of been getting the ball rolling, so I did, just so I could get as much information as possible before I actually sat here.
And may I also add that Allison joined with 1 day's notice.
Yeah.
So Andy invited her.
Yeah.
The next day, she joined us, so it was great.
And what was the GTV meeting?
A Goffstown TV meeting about recording the removal of the
We'll talk
dam.
about
Let's not use the word meeting
Right,
because.
it wasn't a meeting.
Andy and Dia and staff from GTV met at Dia's house
Okay.
with some ideas that they'll discuss this evening.
And at the GTV studio, and then site visit to my house.
Okay.
We'll explain it more.
Well, there you go. Allison, Paul Gagny, I represent I'm on the board for the Nemaski Lake Association, and that's strictly for milfoil control down on the Nemaski Lake area. So I live down on the river on that side. Thank you so much for being your first chair in our group, and the first night that I'm actually an official voter now.
It's a sign.
It's kind of exciting.
Tremendous amount of power. Josh Elliott. I don't live on anywhere along the river or any of the lakes. But my day job, I work for the New Hampshire Department of Energy, so that's sort of my nexus to this. Have done on a couple of things at the state level dealing with water issues, so I'm interested to help here out in the town level.
Great.
And I'm Barbara Schultz, and I've been in Goffstown a very long time, and I use the river, and I also have worked in the past when the Amoskeag Fishways was open and functioning, and learned about fish ladders, and so I have an interest in the ecosystem and
Great.
so forth.
And it's also very involved in the library.
Yes, which is also meeting tonight, so I might have to scram, but it depends. But anyway, I'm also grateful you're here.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Now I think we've gotten all of our things. So are there any other changes to the prior minutes that anyone's found?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
I will too. Oh, wait, I should give them the power.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Derek, do I need to take notes myself, or are you gonna?
No, I'm taking notes, but if
reproduce-
you could just
Say who,
say who made the motion and
you're
who
gonna make me
seconded.
remember everybody's names? Okay.
Andy
Andy.
Carteret made
Right,
the motion.
Made the motion, and
You get
Am I
credit.
right?
And Paul Gagny.
Paul.
Okay.
I just almost called you Josh.
That's okay.
I-
We're-
both
it's a
my-
team- it's a
okay.
teamwork. Oh, my.
Okay, and I guess we don't probably need to do a roll call,
You
right?
don't need to do a roll.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And I'll abstain because I was not here for that meeting. Okay. So it looks like next up would be public comment, and as there is not a person in here that is not on this board, I don't think there's any public comment tonight, so we will close that down. So next, an update on the Hadley Falls Dam removal, review of the facts for the website.
So I can take this from here.
Please do.
So at the last meeting, we had discussed a lot of ideas, and one of the takeaways was, this was related to, what's out there in the public and who's hearing what, and trying to put something easy for the public to go to find the facts quickly, as opposed to going to the website and maybe having to read through, a 12-page document to get them. And so what I did is I took that mission that we had last meeting, and I put together these facts. This is a draft form of what I think we were trying to come up with, which was like a timeline as to what the things are doing. I should make sure this matches up with DES's timeline in the MOU that you guys have, so I should probably cross-reference that. In the back of the timeline. And then I just put out some simple questions that I thought were of value. Where's the Hadley Falls Dam? Because we can't assume everybody knows where that is. So I put together some information. Who owns the Hadley Falls Dam? I think some of the questions were around, it's going to impact our taxes, taking it down, or, why is the town doing that? Clearly state we don't own the dam. It's the state of New Hampshire that owns it. Why is the state not seeking to repair the dam? And this is really pulled from their report. The state has allocated limited funds. As a result, Hadley Falls Dam has been targeted for removal, and then it kind of outlined the costs to remove, the other options that were in the report that they had. Why is the state not seeking to generate electricity? There was some questions around that I happened to see, and the dam is a 0.2 megawatt power dam, which does not generate enough to make it profitable today, or that, what is it, they call it, the return on investment, it would be
300 years from now?
Yeah, and
Approximately.
compare that to Glens Falls, which is 3.48, which still, I don't think is a very big dam, but it's at least profitable enough that they walk away with a plus and not a negative, and they don't have to do any repairs to it. Why is the Hadley Falls Dam being removed? Just a quick bullet. I mean, I didn't want to go into details on that, but there is a report that goes into the structural analysis if somebody wanted to read it. I suppose we could link these
Yeah, I
things
would
to
put the
that.
link there.
If they wanted to read the structural analysis. Is it on this structural analysis on the website?
I don't have the structural analysis. I could see if we could get a copy of that report.
I have a copy of it, if
Okay.
you want me to send that to you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so Andy to send. You send. It's more like, it's about 12 pages of narrative, 12 pages of photos, and 12 pages of data, literally data, like water flow analysis data. Who is paying for the removal of the Hadley Falls Dam? I guess, again, back to that questions, I saw people saying, why, is it going to impact my taxes? And the answer is no, it's coming from the state. And in fact, the ARM fund is not even from taxes either. It's paid by developers when they do work that impacts wetlands. And I did throw in there that any additional community enhancements or improvements such as walking paths, benches, this is based on my understanding, they would have to come from some type of private or public funding. It's not part of this funding. Will the removal of Hadley Falls Dam impact my property taxes? I'm saying no to this. I don't think my taxes are going to go down because the dam's going to be removed. I can't see that. And I don't think it's going to negatively or positively impact my property value. Derek, if you have a different opinion there, but my guess is no. There's no, this set talks to taxes, property taxes, so it's not going to impact the value of my house that would then impact my property taxes in any way.
I would want to check with the assessor. I think for the general property owner, the majority of Goffstown residents, it would not. I can see if you would recommend any additional language for immediate abutters. Immediate abutters, it may, but even then, I'm not sure.
I would even think in your case, it's probably going to make it less likely that your house is torn down in a flood. So that sounds like a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
What about if you approach, so you're going to check the language,
check,
or
yeah.
if you approach it with a question of impact the Goffstown tax rate, like that, that's broader,
Right.
and that is what, 90% of the community would be concerned about?
I think 90% of the community is concerned with property taxes, not the tax rate.
Right, but isn't necessarily concerned with the value of someone's home around there that would up or down their personal taxes. I think you could
Yeah.
make a general statement that there is, you're right, there's no tax impact.
And that's why I think, the question, I think, is good. Will it impact my property taxes?
Yeah.
No.
Most people that we talk to that come in to pay don't, we have to explain the tax rate to them.
And I think people are worried that it's going to negatively impact their taxes because they think the town
Is
is
paying
going to
for
pay
it,
for
right,
it.
and-
If there's any road improvements there,
Right.
because they're putting in a new fire hydrant, I would assume that's on DES, not us to do it, because they're the one taking the dam down.
Would that be true, Derek? If they had to put a new
Why don't we
fire
get through
hydrant?
the FAQs and I can give you
I'm not
a
keep
little,
saying
That
things
one,
to throw
that one
things
I was
out.
like, I
I
don't
can
know
give you a
about
little
that.
bit of update of some other things related to the dam, but let's get through the FAQs
Okay.
Okay.
first.
How can I stay informed on the removal of the Hadley Falls Dam? That's where I want to push them to the website. I can't remember if this goes to the general area. I think it does, this link. There's on the website.
We have it in the menu, so and we have On the home page, under news and announcements, it has its own like button with a picture on it. It's called Piscataquag Dams.
Right.
Maybe I'll talk to IT about updating that or to make it like Hadley Falls Dam removal. And now that we know that's coming up, and then some of the background information about Greg Falls and Kelly Falls, we can still keep that information on the website, but that, I think the Hadley Falls is probably a little bit more pressing.
I would like it to be personally wrapped up into this committee somehow, so that not only do they find the information, but they find out when they go there that we have a committee meeting the following week. If they have questions, they can show up for it.
Right.
You know? But
Andy, I have a question in the language here, when you say to stay up to date, the other state-owned dams. But so that was my question about Greg's Falls, because the state does not own Greg's Falls.
The
Yes,
state
they
does.
do.
Oh,
they
the
do.
state does?
They own
Yes,
Great
they
Falls.
lease it. They have a long-term lease
Oh,
with the power
okay,
company.
thank you, okay.
And Kelly Falls, and
Okay.
our committee mission is all of those dams.
Right,
Not
but
just
that's
that.
why when you said state, I didn't realize they owned Greg. Okay, good, thank you.
What can I do to support the community as the state removes the Hadley Falls Dam? That may be worded a little awkwardly. To assist the select board and the town of Goffstown management, the community impact of the removal of Hadley Falls Dams, and let me just read through this. The select, it's just kind of telling them, so maybe it should be what has.
But then it does go into this and says,
Oh.
there's more to
More,
that
okay.
answer. Yeah, because I thought the same thing, it just kind of cut it off, didn't make sense.
Yeah, the mission of the committee is to advise the select board on all matters related to the Piscataquag River with a focus on the Hadley Falls, Greg Falls, Kelly Falls Dam. The public is encouraged to get involved. So again, trying to push them here so that when you say public comment, there's
Right.
people here that can ask questions.
Right.
So these are draft, if anybody has any edits.
Well, just a question, because we were using this as talking points. I think that's what we discussed the last meeting. So I think one of the it's still a question on my mind. We talk about who's paying for the removal, and you explained it well, but then you go on to say any additional community enhancements or improvements such as walking path, benches, and observation deck will be funded through other means. And my concept of what the state was doing in the presentation was that there would be enhancements. The state would be responsible for enhancements. And I think that's going to be a question that people are going to say, what's that going to look like? I think I've already got that. What's it going to look like? And how do we answer that question? How do we
I never
answer that?
heard that from the state.
Oh,
I heard that
The-
there may be other funds for us to pursue, but that's on Goffstown to pursue.
So, and I'll echo what
Go ahead.
Andy's saying, because this is using ARM funds, the Aquatic Resource Mitigation, I hope that's the correct acronym, they're very limited on what they can do. It's really for wetland restoration. So those walking paths, benches, amenities, they're limited in what they can do with that, is what my understanding from the February presentation by DES.
I agree. The ARM funds does not include any money for beautification.
Okay.
You can't build something that doesn't exist, Corey said. We can't build a walkway or a lookout if it doesn't already exist, but we also can't put in a deeper pond in the mill pond, which I had asked for. But
Right.
just what Derek is saying, they need to use the funds to create the natural flow of the river and secure the riverbed. But there are some other things we can look at for beautification, and I have an update on when we get to
Okay,
it.
I'll leave that to you, but
Yeah.
I did hear that night that based on the plan, there would be possibilities of observation deck on that other side where the power plant is. Did I not hear that?
Possibilities, but not as part of the ARM grant. The ARM grant funds only what will restore the river. And everything
Alright.
around the use of those funds must comply.
Okay,
I'm
and
talking to
the only
Corey.
reason I bring that up is because if these are talking points, I think we have to be able to answer that question as to what is it going to look like?
So-
And how is it going to look better?
I agree, it is an important question that everybody's asking, will it be muddy and smelly and
Yeah.
terrible? Or will the crane come back and will it be lovely? But Corey has also really clearly said to us at meetings and when I've talked to him, we just don't know that this moment. We don't have an answer till they start researching, doing the work, and taking it down and seeing silt, contamination, all the things we've talked a lot about.
Right.
So if you want to put in a question that says we don't know, but that may just be vague, that may not be satisfying.
That's interesting.
What about if you add the word, before that second paragraph, the possibility of any additional community enhancements or improvements, such as, does that change anything? Like, because then it's not saying it's a definite.
There. Yeah, I
That's good.
guess for this exercise, I think probably, there is that possibility, I guess you could say.
Or do we want to remove it altogether? Does it muddy it too much to even have that in there? Should it just be nixed and not even go down that
That's an
path?
idea too, just nix it.
It's
yeah.
probably the cleanest way to
Yes.
do it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there, and then under the next question, I have the same thing, so nix that.
I could just see people saying, well, you said there was going to be a walking
Yeah,
path and
yeah.
benches.
Okay.
Where's my observation?
Right, right.
So
Yeah,
under,
just take
Where's the
that
tiki
out.
bar?
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
That was,
You might get the town behind that, honestly.
Yeah.
Taxes or no taxes.
Yep.
under the idea of what will the river look like, so I've been doing a little research, and you can go to there's been dams taken down, like Sauhegan River is a great example, and we looked at the time-lapse photography of that. And you can go to Google Earth and you can look to see what it looked like before, and you can watch the whole timeline right through from up above. And you can also do that with the Exeter River Dam. You can see what it looked like in 2010, right up until today.
Yeah.
So there are resources out there to get a general idea of what it looks like afterwards.
You could say that. If you want an idea of how other dams have looked, here are some links or places to look, but we cannot say, I don't think, those are very different than Hadley Falls Dam. So we can say you can see what's happened in other places. As
Well, I would answer it, like, if you're gonna put that question in there, what will the river look like? Which I don't even know if we should have that in there because we don't know.
yeah.
Well,
But,
the answer could be we don't know.
well, that's what I was just gonna say. There have been, what you just said, there have been dams removed in other locations, but each is a unique situation, and we can't use that to determine our own.
Yeah, so then is that worth putting in?
I almost avoid it, because when Corey was talking about some of the stuff, they don't know, because we don't know is it 6 inches of silt? Is it 6 feet of silt? Is there a ledge below
Right.
it? So the type of vegetation that that has to be indigenous to grow along the river will depend on what's underneath there. Because there's some that will thrive with, it's gonna need a lot of soil. Some will thrive with next to nothing and will grow on in the rock area. So I would avoid it because it's gonna bring, we just don't know.
And also on the web, don't we have, some other possibilities? Derek, some other dams that have been removed? I mean, if people really want to look at it, does it have to be in this document, or could they find other examples of dam removal?
Yeah, but I don't know how much I don't know that people would do like Andy saying, going
Right.
to Google Maps and time lapsing.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to make that available, we could potentially put something together.
I feel like I don't think you should avoid asking that question or answering that question even if we don't have an answer. I get your point, but when I think about the people that are likely coming here, that is a question they're gonna ask. So if we don't put it out there and say, this is a natural habitat, we can't say definitively what it's going to look like. It almost, I feel like you're almost, how do I describe it? Like just not giving them the answers to the questions that they're going to ask.
That's a question.
It's a
Yeah.
question,
Yes.
whether we have an answer or not.
By omitting it, it looks
Right.
like there's something amiss.
Right.
So I like that, then to add it, but also to say, we don't know now.
Right.
We will continue to post updates on the web,
Yeah,
like,
Look
like,
at the
let's
data.
not end at we don't know.
Right.
Let's just say
When
we'll
we
be
know.
updated.
When we know, you'll know.
When we know,
And
join our meetings,
Yeah.
check the web, and that way we haven't avoided.
And that
Right.
feeds
Yeah.
back to why this committee exists.
Right, and that's what I think Andy's trying to say.
Yeah.
You know, Andy, I wonder here though, because I think it is just a teeny bit confusing, this question, what can I do to support the community as the
Yeah.
state removes? How about what can I do to support Goffstown as the state removes the Hadley Falls Dam? I don't know, just, you know, just a way to maybe simplify a little bit. The other thing I wanted to say is, I think overall this is excellent. You did a great job
Great.
giving resources and answering questions. I can share a few edits I gave to Andy. One was, why is the Hadley Falls Dam being removed? I suggested now or in 2027, just to give it a time. But, you know, I think you've answered it. You know, I don't know that it's needed. It was just trying to be a little bit more specific. The other thing Andy and I discussed, and I think he's right, another big question from mainly the select board is, will we have enough money? What if we run out of money? And should that be addressed? That was another major question. But Andy had a good answer, which is, why put that idea in people's minds? I think that's different than what will the river look like? That's in everybody's mind. Not everybody's thinking, oh, if we run out of money, what could we do? Although Corey had some good answers. So I'm just sharing some of my other edits, but I like that wasn't.
Can I clarify, when you say when we might run out of money?
Right.
You're
When
referring
New
the
Hampshire
the
DES.
state,
Yes.
Yeah.
if they do.
If.
And I would expect them to be 100% committed to finishing this project.
Yes.
If they're running short on ARM funds, they will find other funds, and we will reach out to our contacts, you know, that's what this committee will do.
Yeah.
Call them accountable for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Andy,
them
would
accountable.
you
Select board would-
consider,
Yeah.
You can't take half of a dam down
No.
and just muck up the whole thing and
Right.
then walk away.
We would hold them
You know what I mean?
accountable.
I'm pretty sure the lawyer would be involved at that point. I mean, I may be speaking out of turn, but I feel like my select board members would agree with that.
would you consider a statement somewhere, like something to the effect, you know, this is just beginning and these are questions that we think people have, but like a statement to the effect of, if you have a question.
Right. Please share.
That is appropriate
Yes.
for, you know, well, you can't say if you have a question that you think everybody else has too, but you know what I mean? Just something inviting them to send in a
Yeah, I
question.
like that.
You have a relevant question.
Right. Or
I
please give
can't
us
figure
your
out the
input
wording,
on what
right.
you're interested in knowing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like an intro to this.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and I didn't know where it was gonna go on the web, but that's a, good- you know, how it's gonna be posted.
Feel
Yeah.
free to come to the open meetings that we are.
Yes. Well,
We
you
have
say that,
honest-
maybe,
honest-
Or call Derek and just voice your opinion to him and he can.
It's, you know, that actually, it says for
It does
additional,
say,
I
I know,
don't know
at the
if this
end.
is the appropriate place to send a question, but it says for additional questions, contact Derek at the very end. But, yeah, or just, that's where you could put the line in,
Derek, I
I
don't
guess, submit
care if
question.
they want to put my select,
No, I think
Since I'm
what I would do is rather than an individual, I would give them the number for administration at
Okay.
town hall.
Yep.
But I would also give them DES's
right,
information, because this is not a town project.
right, right,
This is a state project.
right. They have more specifics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be nice to know what those questions are, though, if they send them to DES, so we can be aware.
Should you put Corey's information on here?
I
I
don't,
doubt that.
We can give them a website to the Dam Bureau.
yeah.
Right.
Again, we can give them the
I'll
website.
Send him down. Okay. Send him over the dam.
you could also say, after the paragraph, you know, the public is encouraged to get involved, you could say, this is an opportunity to ask any questions or raise concern, you know, this is an opportunity for you to come and tell us what concerns you, or however you want to elegantly put it.
I'm just taking
And-
some
No,
notes.
it's fine.
And I don't know, I think it's fine to put the New Hampshire DES website, but not Corey's name.
Yeah.
It's not
No, I
fair.
agree. when I go back and read this, like the first question, where is the Hadley Falls Dam? I don't feel like that statement actually answers it as well. Again, I'm trying to look at this from a perspective of not knowing, just coming to this. Like, we all know that there's multiple dams. I don't know if there's a way to say I know it says in the village of Goffstown, but I still think sometimes people aren't even kind of following that. Somehow trying to say, it's the one you pass right in downtown, or.
We could say on Mill
somehow,
Street
maybe.
in Goffstown.
Right.
You could put a
Something.
Google map link there too.
Possibly.
The
I'm just
one-
thinking
the
something
one
that's a little
closest to the
more.
Main Street Bridge.
That's possible too. Just a little more detail about
Okay.
which dam we're talking about, I feel like would be helpful.
Can I go back to the contact us? Other options could be a form that they just fill out a form if they have questions, and then they push send, and it goes to someone. Or it could be more of a group like dams or river advisory committee. Yeah, dam committee.
Right.
Dam committee at goffstown.gov, and it goes to you, and it goes to me, and it goes to, a group who have said, okay, we'll answer these, or we'll take these to the
Right.
committee to take pressure off. I don't know if they've ever done that before, but.
We do it with staff. So we have a lot of aliases throughout the town. And so you write to town clerk, or you write toward planning or zoning or assessing. So we do use a lot of aliases. And I think we have one set up for admin, a general one that goes both to the executive secretary as well as myself, and then we can add other people as well. But if we do a form on the website, which is a possibility, we can route that wherever we want to go.
Okay.
And if you do set that up, I think it would be, rather than you or whoever answering those questions, I would love for them to be brought to the committee so that we're
Yeah,
all
I think that makes sense unless.
informed of what the community is asking.
Right,
I
and
think
I would,
for timeliness of responses,
That's what I was
it should be
gonna say.
staff, but we can copy the committee
Right.
on what the responses are, so you know what's going on.
Right.
so whatever would be best for the town so that we can
Yes.
be the worker bees and
Exactly.
it doesn't fall on you. I think.
And I think but staff here has a responsibility to answer those questions.
Okay.
We can't, as much as I'd like to outsource that to volunteers, and I know
Okay.
there's a lot of dedication on this committee and other committees, I think we have a responsibility to do that.
If you feel comfortable with that, great. I just think anything we can do to relieve you, Derek, and the staff, we're happy to do. Right, committee? Offering our services. But that's good. I think it would be great. So I see this, and I will tell you a little bit as I've been walking around and talking to some people. I would love to use this as a handout so that you don't just have to go to the web. But as I talk to people about the dam and possible involvement, would people be okay with this as a handout?
But
And then I
then
do,
it's not a living document then.
what?
You know, when it's on the web, it can be updated constantly?
Yes, well, we could put in the note that this will be updated
Okay.
regularly on the web.
It might be a good idea, because we could start putting it in the town clerk's office and put some over at the library and do it as like a pamphlet form, so
Yeah.
if somebody's checking out at one of those locations, they can grab it, and then we can just maybe do it in limited runs, or, and put an updated date on it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Only because I like we're going to Exeter and we're going to be meeting with people. It would be nice to leave them with some information just about what we're doing. Just don't say you have to go to the web to find out more, but this is it. But with that, one of my other points to come up is, and we talked about this with Goffstown TV, could we brand our committee in some way? Give it a logo or give it something so that if this is a handout, or maybe just put Town of Goffstown letterhead on it, whatever you think, Derek, would be allowed.
Normally, the departments have different logos, and our Economic Development Council has a logo, because they did a branding of Facebook and a website, probably, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago now. It's been a while. We typically don't do that, but I don't have a problem using the town logo, which actually has a picture of this dam on it. Yes, our town logo does have a picture.
Are we gonna change it then next in
That's a
2
great,
years?
great question.
I guess we'll bring that up to the select board.
This dam specifically?
Yes, it is.
Just
It
put a
is-
big
Yeah,
line
really.
through it.
It is a picture of, it is a picture of
big
this.
X, red X.
dam,
Big
yeah,
red X.
with the
Well,
mountains
that'll
in
be
the
a nice
background
logo.
and,
I
yeah,
didn't realize that.
Yeah.
That's really-
yeah,
Do you know, I never saw that.
yes.
I think that's the next dam.
Maybe.
The next one's a little bigger, yeah.
But it is on there, that's
Still-
interesting.
It's still fun.
Is that my house?
It might be. Is your house in the seal?
Is that you waving?
She's standing out on
I
the
see you
porch.
standing right there.
I am, I'm waving.
Yeah, interesting.
Well, I think for now, just to make it so official, could we do that? Could we add that?
I'm sure that if we did a flyer,
Yeah.
Do
Uh,
a
Like a
flyer?
town seal.
yeah.
Add this?
Because I don't think
For
he's
now.
talking about doing like a whole piece of paper like that, right, Derek? You're not talking about like you're looking at, he's talking about more like a card, right?
You're talking about
Like
a pamphlet.
Either a card or like a trifold,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, trifold.
Okay.
I think that would be a great idea. Because the other thing I was going to say, Andy, is wouldn't it be great if it was just on one page, front and back? But if it's a trifold,
Might be a
it's also,
Yeah, I think as we've got some revisions here,
Right.
yeah.
and we would also want to include a QR code to get to the website. That way, we could do that as well.
And that would go to the dam page on the website, or to the general?
No, it would be to the, we want to direct them to the page, whether it's the Hadley Falls removal or whether it's the Piscataquag River dams. I think right now it's a Piscataquag River dam, so.
And certainly this works for now until,
Yeah. Yep.
something else. But I think putting a date is really important.
On the
A date
document.
on the document
Yeah.
and
For-
a way
for
to
effect,
update it.
Barbara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will volunteer to update this, go through it again based on these comments and feedback, share it with you, Derek, for your final wording.
Yep.
And then I'm happy to work with you to put together some type of flyer, this into like a trifold or something like that. If you have a logo or anything, I assume you would just do it similar to what's on this letterhead.
Yes, yep.
Or if you have other examples of trifolds you've done.
Yep.
I can grab one on
It's
the way
been a long
out.
time since we've done a trifold, but yeah.
I can work with you on that.
And Derek, just to be clear, so you are okay with staff working with Andy, putting together a trifold and making copies? That's all A-okay with the town?
Yeah, we
Okay.
might, depending on how many we want to put out, we might actually think about having these professionally printed. Because this might be something, like I said, we've got Old Home Day coming up.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
We've
June
got-
6th.
Yes.
That'd be interesting.
We've got the library, we've got, multiple departments, so.
Have you considered having a table at,
I actually have that as a
Um,
comment. I have that as a question.
yeah, where people could come and see?
Yeah.
Or is that opening up a?
Is there any issue about?
It may be
Can
too
right now?
early.
Right,
It
that's
may
what
be
I'm worried
too
about,
early.
there's not enough information, maybe?
I would have to reach out to, Main Street, I don't know,
Well, I'm saying to create this, a brochure.
Oh, yeah, no, there's a printing expense to it,
So-
and I would have to find it somewhere. You don't have a budget,
Right.
but I think we had some savings and a couple of lines that we can definitely do a first run. I think this is something that's pretty important to start getting the word out about.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you again, Andy. I think you did a great job
Yes,
putting
thanks.
together a lot of info.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll
Nicely done.
the deadline, so
Yeah.
June 6th is our, to have it printed and ready to go, so I will have something back to you like in 2 weeks then.
Okay.
And then, before I do any designing of like what a trifold would, I would want your input on the language, so that we don't have to change that once it's printed, designed. Okay.
So are you sending it to Derek to do the
Yes.
final edit, and we all don't review it? Which is fine.
Well, I think that's a
we
motion
all-
that we should make, is that, the motion would, I can make the motion. I make a motion that you guys empower me to work with Derek to finalize what's written here, work on a trifold, and actually, our next meeting would be when?
May
May
20th?
20th.
May 20th, so that's plenty of time, and you probably don't even need to make a motion, because I'll just have it done by May 20th. That would be our commitment. All right? So by May 20th, the final version.
What was the deadline of June 6th that you came up with?
It's
What?
Old
Just 'cause
Home Day in
Oh,
Goffstown,
to have it out.
so it would
for
be
Old Home
nice to
Days.
have it.
Gotcha.
To hand out.
Yeah,
Just
and that
wasn't
would,
sure where
that
that
would
came from.
line up well. I think the only challenge there would be printing.
Yeah.
Like if it's the 20th and we have changes, it's gonna be a little tight line, but then again, I think,
So have the
Derek, do you
draft
have a
by May
printer already?
20th.
Yeah, we've got printers that we've
Just
used.
use a different-
They've done pretty good turnaround and.
Okay.
and you
And
have,
I wouldn't do a ton of writings.
No.
Especially if it's something that might be updated.
Right, yeah.
100, 200 maybe at the most.
Yeah.
So no motion, but you work with Derek, and
Yeah.
we'll see it
May
as a
20th.
draft on May 20th?
Yes,
Is that
you
what we're
will.
saying?
What did I just commit to?
Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
A trifold on the 20th, that's what you committed.
100 of them sitting
With
right here
pictures
on
of
the 20th.
eagles.
In color, glossy, hold on your eyes.
So, and just to be clear, the vendor booth registration for Old Home Day is closed out, so they filled up all their spots.
But don't they have a Main Street booth?
They do.
So,
I can ask the director and see if she.
Maybe they just let us sit down on the other side of the bridge
Yeah.
where you can look at the
Or,
falls.
or Rotary,
Yep.
if the Rotary's gonna have something there, maybe.
They usually
They
have
have
their
that
fried
little place on the
bologna.
corner, the
and-
fried bologna,
They
of
do.
course.
They do,
I
yeah.
always hit
A
that
lot
up.
of bologna.
and,
Why don't you just open up your house and have everybody come in there?
if everybody brings cookies.
Right,
and,
we can
know,
do that. I can
but
bake.
That's good to know. I have spoken with Tina at Main Street about collaborating, because if we want to work on things together, it needs to be a full-town collaboration. Main Street is very happy to brainstorm with us. So one of our to-dos, if you're up for it, I'm
Is
sort of
this-
jumping ahead.
Is this
Yeah.
new business? Because I just wanted to.
Oh,
I did have
it would be.
I did have one other update on the Hadley Falls dam removal
Okay,
that I wanted to bring to everyone's attention.
you go ahead.
Back in March, the town, and when I say the town, myself and the fire chief sent a letter to DES to make them aware of two concerns that we had with the plan that was presented at the select board.
I've never seen that.
The first is the impact on fire suppression. So there is a dry hydrant there that has been brought to Corey's attention, and he's aware of it, and they do have some additional funds for these type of situations. And then also, the state is currently working with FEMA to update our floodplain maps. Obviously, this would greatly change what those maps look like, so we've made the New Hampshire Department of, I don't know what they're called now, it used to be State Planning, Office of Development and Planning, we've made their map coordinator aware that this is happening and kind of asked them to pause those two maps. They're in the final stages and ask them to kind of wait until this project gets done and then restudy the area. Also, the Village Water Precinct, we've been sharing information with them. They wrote with concerns because they have wells that are up the river that feed off the groundwater. So they brought that to the attention of DES as well, that they want to make sure that it doesn't impact their wells in the Village Water Precinct. They don't, it's been, I think, 2 years now since they've actually drawn water off the reservoirs on the mountain. So they use these wells predominantly. So, and DES is aware of that and did kind of give a nice comment back that it's something that they will work with them about, so.
Can I just make a comment? With the flood maps, it's probably a positive for residents,
It probably is.
right?
Yeah.
Because
And the
this is going
reason-
to make it less likely
Yes.
because of retention of water, I would assume.
Yes, and I think that as well, but the modified flood maps were expanding the floodplain a little bit in some of the areas above the dam, based on what we've actually seen. So that's where it's kind of, before you change potentially somebody's flood rating and their need to get insurance.
It's money, yeah.
Can you pause it and wait until we get the dam out before you adopt new maps? And we identified the 2 panels for them, so.
Interesting.
Because I can tell you, I pay flood insurance to FEMA, only FEMA, because that's the only one allowed. It is very expensive. But, and I now, because I paid off my mortgage, I don't have to get flood insurance. But given the state of climate awareness, that I live on a river and all these good things, I do. So if anything you do as FEMA wants to lower that rate, Derek.
Yes.
FEMA's probably the only one willing to insure you. Well, being on a river, like, sorry, no commercial insurance, I can see you saying, no, thank you, we don't want your business.
I have no choice but to insure with FEMA. There's
Right,
no
yeah,
other
yes.
flood
Yeah, there's
insurance.
no commercial
Yes.
carrier that will offer insurance.
And yes, I know that about
Yeah.
it being a high risk.
What, are you in
It's a
the,
high-risk dam, not a high-risk
Dia, are
house.
you in the 100-year floodplain? Or,
No, I think she's probably in the floodway, which is the river.
yeah,
Yeah.
so, yeah,
Yeah.
because we're in the 500-year
Yeah.
floodplain, we still got insurance. It's just, after our 2006 experience being in the 100-year floodplain, at my old house, we just decided, yeah.
But do you have to, are you required?
Don't have to, no, no. Oh, we got it though.
When you say floodway, is that W-A-Y?
Yes, all one word.
Okay.
Okay, so are we done with any other updates?
I think we've gone through updates and old business at this point.
Old business?
Derek, can I just ask though, the fire hydrant, is that the one on Mill Street?
Yes.
Is there another one on the other side?
On the factory side?
Yeah,
There used to be, but
Okay.
when that project was done, that one got pulled out, and one of the requirements is they actually there's sprinklers in those buildings.
oh, okay.
Which allowed for that dry hydrant to be removed. But the one, I actually believe there's 2 dry hydrants, if I'm going off of memory, on the north side of the river, so the Mill Street Depot side. And both of these would be removed as part of this project, but there's just concern about the flow rates in the precinct's water system.
Yeah. When Derek has come to my house, there's a lot of concern over these, it
Yeah.
seems, and do they have to be removed or lowered or something? But I thought he had mentioned 2. So.
Oh, Corey, when Corey?
Corey.
Yep,
2.
Yeah.
So, okay.
yep.
But does the dry hydrant just mean it pulls from the,
Yeah, it's just
River there.
it's basically a pipe into the river.
okay. That's what I thought, I just want to make sure I was understanding.
Yep.
Okay,
I had the same question, so.
okay, good, not just me. Okay, so I guess we're on to new business, the GTV documentary for dam removal. Take it.
We did. Andy reached out to Brian, who attended our meeting, the select board meeting in February. I guess they attend all select board meetings, is that right, Goffstown TV? And we asked if we could meet with the idea about recording the removal of the dam. So Andy and myself and Allison, we had a meeting with them. We started at their studio, which is...
Informal meeting.
Informal meeting.
Not a meeting.
Oh,
Fact
not the
finding.
same meeting.
Gathering.
An informal gathering that started at their studio, which is in the back of Goffstown High School, and then they did come to my house to see the dam, to see where a camera could possibly be put. So I would say overall, very positive. They were very receptive, very gracious, very open to working with us. In fact, they loved the idea of having this project. It would be at no cost to us. They are a service to Goffstown, which is excellent. We have a wonderful opportunity to work with them now at the start. So Exeter, if any of you checked out their 30-minute video on what do we have in its place, they only could do that project after the dam had been removed. We can now start. They had some very good points about different angles. I had spoken with Bob Glowacki, who is the man who did the Exeter video. and he had given some good tips. But for us, what matters is, so I have to get to my notes on Goffstown TV. We talked about a time-lapse camera, which they do own. We talked about other cameras, which need battery changes, which we could do. Anything that they create would be owned by the town, and it would be great to share. We can share it at the library, you could download it, so all that. So the goals would be, now these are my notes, we didn't maybe specifically say this, but the goals would be keep the public informed, have a central spot where everything can be shared, and give updates. So we wouldn't just do one. We talked about having a documentary. We talked about having several short pieces throughout the process. Brian came up with, I think, a terrific idea that we could put signs up on the bridge and people could use their phones to click on a code to see updates. Nice idea. That's why I think branding, again, would be really good. And we had a good discussion about Facebook page, social media, YouTube, town web, many ways we could share this. The other goals, I would say, would be help on an informational campaign by doing videos, documentation, and historical. So one thing, and please jump in if I've missed anything.
You got it.
One thing that they asked for is, could we form a small committee to review the videos? They will not post any video until it has been reviewed, which is totally important. And I said I'd bring it up. They've also, ways we could help is our committee to give key people to be interviewed, key people in Goffstown or associated with the dam, but I don't think it has to be the dam only. It's really to put together a documentary on Goffstown, to be interviewed. Exeter did interviews. We could also help write up interview questions, that would help, but they have the expertise to script. And we can think about the angle, we are group. Made in America, Native American, colonists that came here to fish. Think about how diverse members could share their stories. And places to put up cameras. So Allison nicely reached out to a friend of hers who's not in the residencies at Hadley Fall directly across from my house, but in the other apartments. That person is willing to put up a camera, which I think could be cool downstream.
Yeah, because she's
My
on the
house-
top floor.
it's a top
different
floor.
angle.
My house, we could put up a camera right on the third floor, which looks directly down at the dam. And I'm so sorry I didn't just walk you through to the other part. But also on the other half of the house, we could put up a camera, and Jen Pappas is our contact at GTV, put up a camera to look up from the dam to the bridge, because they will be working at that. New Hampshire DES will be working at that. It doesn't just happen there. I also spoke with Robert Simmons, who's a developer. He is the Director of Capital Projects at CMC Management Corporation. I had met him. He did come to some meetings. And he is very willing and happy to put up cameras at that side, which Goffstown TV thought would be good. It could be up high.
I mean, he's with the apartment buildings? Is that what you're
Right, the
talking about?
management
Okay.
company.
Okay.
that apartment building.
I will say that, Robert also offered, but it hasn't been cleared with the person who would need to clear it. I asked, could we use the maintenance, the powerhouse, which is a cool building, it'd be great for an art gallery. No, it's filled with equipment and their maintenance staff uses it, but they did offer that they have a community room
Yeah.
that might have possible exhibits, and they might even host an event, which would be neat, because they're right at the dam. So that would be good.
That's nice.
So I think, well, I have a list of things we could think about at the end, but I want to back up if I can to start some updates. Yes, Barbara?
A question, going back to GTV saying they won't post any videos without us reviewing them first. What would we be reviewing them for?
We'd be reviewing them for clarity, for messaging, for visual impact. I've worked on putting together videos with a mission for nonprofits for a number of years. So if you have an important message that you want, it is really important that you review it and make sure. I've done, not to get into details, but produce videos where each interviewee or person telling their story, in this case was a nonprofit with impact stories, where we scripted the entire presentation by the person, and others where we simply said, you know, you, Andy, we're going to interview you about Goffstown. You decide what's important to tell, but then we may want to edit it down. I hope that answers the review. You know,
I was thinking of the video of the, you know, construction or
The live
deconstruction
stream.
or
You're
whatever.
thinking of the
I'm
live stream.
thinking like,
No.
what would we be looking at?
Yeah.
So there's
Editing it for time or?
There's money opportunities here, I think is what Dee is saying, and,
Yeah.
and Goffstown TV's willing to explore what we're willing to put time into. One could be like kind of passive, like just a camera on the dam, and at some point they take that video and put it into something that people can watch. Another one would be informational, like we want to get together and we're saying, here's an update, you know, we do it after every meeting. Here's an update on the dam, this is what's happening, we're gonna go down here and show them pictures. So that could be a 3-minute video, or the other is a whole documentary, like Hadley Falls Dam, the history. You know, that starts at some shots of it.
built and-
Yeah, and
That's
somebody is narrating it that knows the history, and then it gets into, you know, so that's a 25-minute or a 30-minute type of
Yeah.
thing. And so they're willing to really do whatever we want. It'll take work, and it will take some work on this committee to, you know, if we're gonna do a documentary, help script it, you know, come up with images.
Back to her actual question, I think they just want us to realize that we're in control of the video messaging that will go out there.
Right.
Yep.
No, we're not gonna watch the live stream to make sure it's clear, that's not what they mean. But anything else, all these other ideas
Right.
would be, whatever small group or however we decided, we would have the final say before it was put out.
Right, which I think is really,
Yeah.
really important. Also,
Absolutely.
just for, not only just for content of the message, but for consistency as well. We will totally rely on their expertise, which they have plenty of. They can help script, they will decide where the cameras should be located, they will help us brainstorm, but we'll look to them for, should we do a documentary, how long, shorts, live interviews, all these things, they're very, very willing to work with us on. So I'm excited, I'm really excited. And, you know, they don't feel a committee of 9 makes sense, which it doesn't. So we can put together a small group. So may I share some other updates?
Of course.
Okay, so first I want to say that I do want to share updates about our field trip and other potential field trips, but I also really want to be respectful of this committee and our work together. I am excited about working with the town. I'm excited about using 2026 as a planning year for 2027. Most excited about being forward-thinking with vision for what happens to Goffstown further on, right? This is, taking down the dam is a moment in Goffstown history. But again, I think we really have to honor the legacy of the dam and see how we benefit, how we can be enhanced or even improved by the removal of the dam. But maybe my desire to work is a big community effort and let's dedicate the dam and let's think of all these wonderful things. Those are my interests and I'll continue to do it, either as an individual. I would love this committee to want to participate, but it's not my say how we feel we should best spend our time. And as Andy already said, this committee is not just about the Hadley Falls Dam, right? It's about the whole river. So, you know, I don't want to just sort of come in here so strong about, oh, isn't this great and can't we do this? Because people may not really want to do this as part of the committee. So I'd love to hear your input, but another idea just to help would be, we don't do it as the core of our meetings. We do it as a small group that's interested and then we report back the same way. If you want to do a GTV, Goffstown Television, you know, do work, a small group can work and we can report back. as I mentioned, I've been talking to so many people. Everybody is very excited about being positive, let's say, being forward-thinking. But so I did speak with Tina at Goffstown Main Street, because nothing should be done on its own. This committee shouldn't be working without collaboration with Main Street and with the town, the businesses, the schools, the Historical Society, the library. She is very happy, and they had a meeting, I think last night, to put together a small group to brainstorm about town activities. So again, they could do that. We could do that. She mentioned being on the bridge committee. We could come to the bridge committee and brainstorm a little bit as well, she said, but I said I'd bring it up here. So, you know, we don't have to answer this now, but I'm very sensitive to sort of coming in here and just taking up all this time. If you feel we have other important business.
Well, I think all the ideas you've said, I mean, I think we gotta walk before we run. I mean, this is some great stuff, and I'm all for it, for sure, but I think it's gonna, the lead is going to be what's happening with how this dam removal goes. I think that's gonna be the lead, and we know it's still a year down the road, probably, right? So in between that time, I guess is the question, we can set up to have things like this to get them down to details. What do we want to do? What's the priority? That sort of thing. And just get ready for I think we really have to make sure that we're not putting the cart before the horse either. You know?
I think
we don't
that-
know what's going to happen with
Yes.
that dam when they start removing it.
We don't.
No.
It may be awful.
Well,
We can still put positive spin.
I'm being positive. I hope it will.
Yes.
Obviously, we hope it will.
But I appreciate that, thank you. And just to
No, I mean,
respond,
this is great stuff. I think it's really, I can tell that you're excited about it.
I am excited. I mean, I will just tell you, and I'll tell anybody in more detail anything they want to know, but I've been putting together community, art, science, interactive events for over 45 years. So it just happens that I'm retired, so I have this time. And it happens that it's happening now in Goffstown, because I was thinking about putting together an art science sculpture park for Manchester. It's just a tremendous amount of work, but I know all the nonprofits. I worked in Manchester for 30 years. But then, why not do it here, where we're right on the river and we can have positive impact? But Dick, I really liked one thing you said. We have to start small, be brilliant, and then grow. We cannot do everything at once. Tina also said, they're limited. Main Street also puts on a number of things. She's very happy to brainstorm, but, there are a lot of parts to this, so who wants to do what? I think, I love to focus on collaborative effort, and I just think things are so much stronger when you have a diverse group than not. And I think it's especially important here in Goffstown because we all know each other and we all care. So that being said, if anybody has other comments or we can talk about it, I'm going to try and be really fast on some updates. Okay, so for the field trip coming up, some of us are, sorry.
A committee of the town cannot meet outside, so this is not an
Oh.
official committee field trip. I understand
That's right.
there are individuals that may be traveling to go see the Exeter Dam, but it's not a committee meeting.
Okay, so if I want to share our update and who we'll be meeting with, I should do that not as part of this.
I think you can do it briefly, but again, it's not a committee meeting and it's not,
Okay.
it's
not a committee meeting?
individuals.
Yeah.
What are you
social
planning to
gathering.
do in Exeter?
Oh,
I'd like to hear
thank
what
you.
you're doing when you go there.
I plan to meet Andy, Paul, and Dick.
I'm gonna scoot out to go to the library.
Okay, thank you, Barbara. Listen, if you want more updates, I can call you directly. Okay, thank you. Okay. So the quick plan is go to Exeter because they've done a great job on the removal of their dam. Again, to note, they own their dam, very different than Goffstown. The state owns Hadley Falls. The plan is meet at 9:40 a.m. here at Town Hall to carpool. 10:45 to 11:30 a.m. meet Barbara Rimkunas, curator at the Exeter Historical Society. She was on their River Advisory Committee. The Historical Society's pledged to preserve all the photos, articles. We can speak with her for 45 minutes and then visit the Historical Society. They close at 12. We can visit 11:30 to 4:45. Then we are going to walk to the Exeter Library and meet with Chandra, I think Baudreau, She was also involved. She's with the dam removal, lived in Exeter her whole life. We will visit, we will learn about what they did in terms of putting together community groups. We will see the etching in their window that you can look out on the dam. And then we can visit the library for 15 minutes. Now, what we may do at 12 is we may meet up with Bob Glowacki, who's the Exeter video man. So I had a long conversation with him. He was wonderful. If his daughter decides to take her 2-year-old nap at 12, he'll walk with us from one place to the other. He walks there all the time. If not, it's okay, and I'll share info. The other new person that we might meet up with is Select Woman Julie Gilman, Gilman. She is a select woman of the town of Exeter. She was very involved with the removal of the dam, and says we must learn about mitigation. So this is committee business, so can I share?
You can share after you've learned that information, and you can bring it back to a committee meeting.
So I sent information to Andy, Paul, and Dick, because we're going to speak about it if we choose to. Well, we're going to speak about it with the people we meet and the select woman if we join her, if she joins us. We do need to look at it because I spoke with Nadine Miller at the New Hampshire Division of Historical Resources. She thinks we may qualify as a consulting party. That Exeter used some of the mitigation funds, tapped into their NOAA grant to do things like the plaque, the etching, fund an architectural historian. New Hampshire Division of Historical Resources has not looked at Hadley Falls Dam yet, but thinks we could meet the requirements. I spoke with Corey Clark about it because it would mean creating a plan with New Hampshire DES on how to secure the riverbed and things we might do. It wouldn't be done by us, it would be done in coordination with New Hampshire DES, and it would need to be signed off by the town.
So this is, it's unclear if it's a potential for additional funding or not, but my reading of, so this is, what was it called, Section 104?
Section 106.
Section 106, when, and the way I read it is when a federal agency removes something of historic value,
Right.
they must look at the impact to the community and make some type of amends or compensation, but it doesn't say if there's money attached to it, and it doesn't say, like, is it state funds?
So
Like in
it's-
this,
So we've
Yeah.
had experience with
Okay.
this on the developer
perfect,
side.
thank you.
The Rite Aid project, there was,
In
in
Bernardville?
Bernardville.
Okay.
You may recall there was a little white, for those who've lived in town long enough, a small white house that some sisters lived at. And then St. Anselm came in and bought that property. So when that was developed, that house was old enough that it qualified for the National Register. And as part of that project to develop the housing behind as well as Rite Aid, there's a sign there. So there is a Bernardville marker there. That was the developer was responsible for, and they worked with the Historic District Commission to come up with mitigation. So they were removing a house. We also did a Section 106 review, the Historic District Commission, because again, that's the body, that's the land use body that does those, on the mill project. And that Section 106 review, the Historic District Commission really pushed for maintaining the historic chimney that's there. And they actually had to do quite a bit of repairs as part of that development to maintain that chimney. So this is using, so ARM grant is, it's like state money, but it's federal, I think it comes out of a federal law.
No, the ARM grant is funds paid by developers.
It is, but I think it's a federal program
Okay.
that state developers pay into when they
Okay.
impact wetlands of certain sizes.
Yeah.
They pay into this fund, Now DES is restoring wetlands, so they get to take money out of that fund. So if there is a section 106, bless you.
Thank you.
If there is a section 106 review, the Historic District Commission will be involved. And that's where they could advocate for some type of mitigation, whether it's a historic marker. Right now, the water precinct is taking out one of the dams on the mountain, one of the
Right.
reservoir dams. So their mitigation, their section 106 mitigation is they're going to be gathering all the data about the history of the dam they're removing, and they're going to provide a copy of that to the town, the library, as well as the historical society. So it's not, and it's usually the party that is leading the project that's responsible for that mitigation.
So in our case, the party leading the project is New Hampshire DES?
Yes.
So, because Nadine at the Division of Historical Resources said, first review it, learn about it, and then contact Corey. And Corey said, yes, it would be a plan we could do together.
Okay.
Again, if we comply, we must comply with the ARM funds, and it must be about somehow restoring the river, because that's what the ARM funds do. But Corey did say that they have put aside some funds out of the ARM grant to help with mitigation or other things, landscape and other things. They didn't give me a number,
That's in the budget.
but he said it is in the budget. So,
There's
I-
80,000 for historical investigation and documentation. I don't know if that's it.
okay, because he said it may be up to 100,000. So Derek, I hear I hear what you're saying, and I recommend that Andy, Paul, Dick and I go, and whoever else wants to join us, but please let me know, because I'm confirming with them tomorrow who's attending. Let us speak with the select woman about it in our social gathering, and then we'll report back, unless, Derek, you say it's something we should not be looking into.
I think if you gain individual knowledge about how something occurred in another town, I think that's fine.
Not as.
The dam is in a historic district.
No,
The
it is
dam's,
not.
dam's not, I thought Dia's house is though, right?
Hadley Falls Dam is.
No,
I was told that the dam is,
Remember, I didn't.
and the whole town.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
Or is it maybe it qualifies for it? Or,
so when you say historic district, I think of the historic districts that are defined in our zoning ordinance. We have historic districts that are defined in our zoning ordinance, and there are restrictions on what property owners can do on that. That's Parker Station, that's Carcourt, and that's Grassmere.
okay.
We do have sections of town that are listed on the National Register.
Uh-huh.
20 years ago, we have a poster upstairs in a nice frame. The Historic District Commission did a project to put the village on the National Register.
Yeah.
Or it was either a historic area, but it's not a historic district in terms of zoning and local land use. It may be on the National Register, it may be eligible for the National Register.
I think that's what, yeah.
But usually, to be eligible for the National Register, the building only has to be 50 years old. It's not,
But that will
Yeah.
trigger still this section 106 review?
if ARM grant funds qualify for that. Usually, anytime there's federal funds, anytime there's federal law, so when, we have a FCC, so anytime we get an antenna application from St. Anselm, if they're putting something on their water tower up there, we get a section 106 review.
What were the three historic districts? Grassmere, Parker Station, what was the third one?
Carcourt, which is where New Boston Road, or Pleasant Street comes into the roundabout up above by St. Lawrence. There's two buildings.
Just by the Cumberland Farms?
Yes.
Kind of like,
Yes.
Before,
yeah.
Okay.
for that weird.
Yeah, you'll
Little
see this
triangle,
row of
sort of
yeah.
triangle, that's not a
Is-
triangle.
Like a 5 houses tucked in there.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so let's gain individual knowledge.
When are you doing that again? I don't.
This Saturday, April 18th, is our meeting with
we're not having a
It's a
meeting.
social gathering.
Social gathering.
Friends.
I am so sorry, you'll
You're
have
just going
to
to
delete that.
Exeter. You're just
It's-
going to Exeter.
Just so you know, yeah.
Taking a ride to
Doing a
Exeter,
bar crawl. It
Exeter
happens
has
to
some
be in
really
Exeter.
nice restaurants,
Yes.
so.
which we want to know about. Unfortunately,
Which you want to know.
I'll get it by the end. The Phillips Exeter Gallery is not open, that's too bad. To continue, as another gathering that we spoke about here as a group, so I'm hoping it's okay, we talked about going to visit the Goffstown Historical Society. We spoke about May 2nd when we were first looking for a date when I was first looking for a date for our first gathering. I have been in touch with Valerie Neal and also Jen, who I know. So Goffstown Historical Society is willing to pull the info they have. They don't have a whole lot on the dam, but certainly on Goffstown. They can still meet May 2nd, but I'm going to recommend we can go when they are available. Valerie's available on June 6th, because as you've heard, that's Goffstown Old Home Day. We would go to the Goffstown Historical Society from 12:30 to 1:30. Goffstown Old Home Day goes from like 10 to 4. I just think it might be a nice way to see the town, do whatever we want, and go visit them. Am I allowed to ask who's interested, or do that separately?
So if this is for, again,
Social.
meetings have to happen, typically they happen at town hall. They're
Okay.
publicly accessible. So
I mean, yeah, would we want to invite them in here to do a presentation, or?
No, we
that's
want,
what we have done with the
Right.
bridge committee. We got information from them, but
I actually want to go to see what they have in their collection. But it doesn't have to be any more than me. Valerie also really nicely said, anybody can meet separately with her, but I definitely want to go. And Paul, you've never been.
I have never been.
Well,
I've
that's,
never been either.
I drive by it all the time. My brother-in-law lives up on from
Anna's never been.
River
They,
Road.
they do great things. Anyway,
Yeah.
may I do an email as a social gathering to the group afterwards on who wants to go?
I can't.
I would just say, you're going on May 6th.
I'm going on
and we're
June
open-
6th
Or June 6th.
at
and we're open.
12:30,
There you go.
and I may see you there or not. Right?
That's
Okay.
all.
There we go.
Because it's
Okay.
open, it's a free country.
Yes.
It is a
Go
free
if you
country.
want.
Go if you want, and it's also free.
Admission free too.
Yeah.
True.
Okay, so really, really quickly, I think this is part of our, what could we do here? I would like help with putting together some kind of database. Ideally, that could work with the town. So I'm making all these contacts. We all have many contacts. They should be shared. Is that something we can do as a town database?
Once you create a database that the town has, and if it has personal contacts, it becomes a governmental record that is discoverable. That somebody can come in and say, I heard the River Committee talking about a database of contacts. I would like
A copy.
a copy. Is that, what are you trying to?
I'm trying to share resources. I'm trying to share if a contact has been made.
So I think this is getting outside the purview of the River Advisory Committee. The River
Okay.
Advisory Committee was put together to track the removal of the dam, the 3 dams, projects about those.
Okay,
So I think this is getting outside the purview of this committee.
okay. So what we want to do now, I can tell you, I've certainly made other contacts, but maybe enough for today. I'd love to know if anybody knows who is the best living Goffstown historian. I think that would be important to tap into for Goffstown TV. But on that note, can we say if we wanted to be on a small committee with Goffstown TV or with town activities, including Main Street? Can we do that?
So again, under your charter, you do not have the ability to create subcommittees.
Okay.
Oh, we can't.
I'd have to look at usually ad hoc committee is the lowest form of committee. So,
This is not an ad hoc committee. though.
this is not an ad hoc committee, but I would have to look at the
Yeah.
charter and how, usually we don't, because the problem is you get into subcommittees,
Yeah,
you have people that are meeting and they are very well intentioned, but the state law and public meetings, they have to remain open to the public.
Okay.
And we don't wanna get a few well-intentioned people meeting at somebody's house without proper notice, without, those kind of things. So I think some of these things you may have to say, hey, who's willing to take up these tasks and come back and report to the whole committee at the next meeting?
Can
so
we
it's
say
not a
that?
subcommittee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Can we say that?
yes.
Yeah,
say
if
that.
there's, if there's people that are willing to take up tasks and we have individual tasks, I think that's fine.
But then it's,
I'm very
you're
willing.
reporting it back.
Yes.
In a committee
Re-
setting.
re-
in a
In
meeting.
Okay.
a committee sitting,
Yes.
I think, Rich, you do this on the EDC, where there are, okay, they'll break out a bigger project into smaller, hey, can these people contact these businesses, ask these questions, and you come back and you report it to the full committee, and then the full committee can take action at that point.
Okay. I'm very willing to be on the Goffstown TV committee. And I'm-
It's not a committee. You're willing to
You're
work
just
with
working
them
with-
and
you're
report
working with
back.
TV.
I'm very willing to work with Goffstown TV and report back to the full committee. And I'm very willing to work on town activities and brainstorm with Main Street and report back to the committee.
Great.
I love your enthusiasm.
I look forward to hearing your update.
Okay,
And I will assist you with
Thank you.
any of that.
thank you. I was going to suggest that. Is that an okay word?
It's
Okay.
not a meeting.
So, my only other updates, just so quickly to share, because I'm very excited. One is, so I reached out to the Mount Kearsarge Indian Museum. They don't deal with the dates of My Mill House, which is 1883, or the creation of the dam, which is 1920 to 21. They're earlier. But they did connect me, this is way fun, they did connect me with their collections department, who connected me with an associate professor at Florida University, who is a resident and grew up in Goffstown, and is writing a book about Native American heritage and Goffstown.
Wow.
Is that so cool? So I hope he comes. I've offered to have a book signing with the library. That's not my choice. So that's one thing that's very fun. And the other thing, and I will report back. And the other thing is, I had contacted Brian Balke, the superintendent, about possibly working with school groups. He was out of town last week, is still out of town this week, but Scott Gross called me today. He is the operations manager. I said I'd love to work with a student, a teacher, a group of kids, anybody who wants to look at the history. And he said he could reach out to a science teacher he knows and somebody who leads the environmental club. He thinks it's best for a middle school to work on this, not the elementary school or high school. And he needs about 4 weeks to get back because it'll be April vacation. But I think that's really exciting because I was anticipating a no, or this is too hard to work with school groups. So I think that's great. And finally, part of the school group thing that would be neat, I have been in touch with the New Hampshire Historical Society, the New Hampshire State Library. Everybody has information, not on the dam, but on Goffstown. So I think that would be wonderful if he had a teacher or student or somebody, and we could do a gathering to Concord and see what they have. Oh, and lastly, I don't know about this, but it was also recommended our group might want to look at Durham. That is also removing a
Yeah,
dam.
I think they removed it.
Oh, they did?
I think so.
Well, it was just suggested by one of these contacts as something worthwhile. So thank you all. I know I took up a lot of time today. Thank you, Derek, for understanding.
He's going to be talking to his lawyer after this.
Yeah. I'm learning this governmental stuff.
Protocol.
Okay, so if we have no other new business, anyone?
Can I ask about Namaski Lake and how it's doing as far as the boards and all that stuff? And is it filling up again? And
Right now, so this is year 2 of not having a hydro plant there. Year 1, they took half the boards off for winter. It took forever. It was the end of June that they finally got the boards back up because they couldn't, the water was just being held back up even with the half of the boards on there. This year, they removed all of the boards. And it was down real low a couple days ago before we had all the downpours. I'm optimistic that the boards will be able to get reinstalled much sooner in the season because there's so much flow going over the dam. So far, so good. They already have the boards at the location, which they did not have last year. They're already on a trailer, ready to go, which is good to see. That's the real only update that I have, is that it's flowing freely, and with any luck and a little coordination, because they didn't coordinate with above the floodway above us.
Clough State
Clough
Park,
State,
Everett Dam.
Yeah, they didn't coordinate well with them last year on holding anything back to allow Glen Lake to drop and then allow us to put the boards on. So hopefully they've got a better system. They learned a lot last year of trying to get that minimum flow rate over the dam so they can safely put boards back up.
And this, just for your, Allison, this is like a 3-foot board.
Yep.
It's like or 4 foot, it's probably a piece of
It's like a
plywood.
3-foot board, yep, they got pins.
Yep.
There's a rubber membrane on one side of it. So they can put all the pins in and then they literally just stack them up and.
Is that like damming the water? What's
It's
what is
holding
it?
back the water, and that is, that lake is shallow, and just that 3 feet is the difference between being able to put your boat in the water or take it out or not, right? That's
Yeah.
my understanding. I mean, there's some spots there that 3 feet makes a difference.
Okay.
In front of my house, I've got a stream right now.
Yeah.
And I normally have a boat in front of my house in the summer.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
Well, just the next meeting, May 20th?
Oh,
2026,
okay.
that's the only other thing, and yes, I'll take that motion.
Second?
I just wait.
How's it feel?
Wonderful.
We had purpose today.
We did.
You always
I
have.
was gonna say. Well, I guess that.
Good job. Good
Thank
job,
you. We
Jeff.
are
Good job.
adjourned.
I'm in favor of adjourning.
Yes, thank you.
All in favor?
Vote.
All in
Anyone?
favor?
Aye.
I'm not abstaining on this one. Yes.
And Allison, how do you spell your last name?